classified. Had a car in the garage. Had garages.
Call the commission meeting to order, and Vice Mayor Tim Johnson will lead us in the invocation and in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Shall we pray? Dear God, we thank you for this day that you have given us. We thank you for all the great things you're doing for the community and for all of us and combined. We ask that you be with us during this meeting, lead us to the right decision. We ask your name. Amen.
Amen.
Please stand. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Baker.
Present.
Commissioner Garver.
Here.
Commissioner White.
Here.
Vice Mayor Johnson.
Here.
Mayor Lamb.
Here. You had in your packet the June 20 commission meeting minutes. Try to say that fast. Are there any corrections, anything we need to change in that?
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Baker.
Yay.
Commissioner Garver.
Yes.
Commissioner White.
Yay.
Vice Mayor Johnson.
Yay.
Mayor Lamb.
Yay. Now's the time we have set aside for comments from our citizens. And let me clarify, we have two opportunities tonight. This one is for general information. We will have a public hearing on an ordinance, so if you're here to speak for or against the ordinance, please hold your comments until I have that public hearing. So this is just for general comments for us to hear from you. If you'd approach the microphone and give us your name and your address.
My name is James D. Purple.
Can you move the mic down so everyone can hear, please?
I guarantee somebody will have to bring it back up.
That's okay.
My name is James D. Purple Sr. My wife and I are here together. We live at 5642 Tucker Road. Although I have plenty of concern about when Tucker Road might be able to rejoin the rest of Collegedale. I'm not here about that, but if you have any information to enlighten us, I'd appreciate that. What I'm here about is that several weeks ago, a no parking here to corner was erected on Landrum Drive, which joins Tucker Road at the corner where our house is located. And I have pictures to illustrate, if I may present them to you.
Yes, yes, you may.
The first picture looks north from the sign itself, which is visible there. And it shows the open area that used to be used for parking. Everybody on Landrum Drive until that sign was erected, uses regularly the street parking all around Landham Drive. As you know, Landham Drive is a circular drive that starts at Tucker Road at the bottom of the hill and terminates at the top of the hill next to our house there. That two-story house is mine and my wife's house. Occasionally, we have need to park on the street, but we're forbidden to do so by that sign. It was erected without any notice to us, without any opportunity to be heard, and I don't know why or what complaint may have caused it to be erected, but we've lived there 40 years. We need occasionally a place to park our visitors' cars or a vehicle of ours for whatever reason. And we'd like to ask if there's no good reason for putting that mysterious sign up there, please take it down.
Thank you.
Should we ask
Yeah,
Chief Sapp? Can you give us some background maybe or something about why they need to have that parking sign there?
I
No
would love
parking.
to, but those signs are posted by Public Works and not the police department.
Okay,
I'm not immediately familiar with any complaints coming in through me that I can immediately recall, but I'll probably have to defer to Eric signs on the place for that particular sign.
I know we have parking rules, regulations, and I thought, because I brought this up on Pine Circle up here, I thought it's more because if you have an incline, you cannot see over a hill.
Mhm.
This is pretty straight, and Mr. Purple, I've known he probably forgot me by now, but I've known him for years, and he has been at this resident.
Mhm.
I've got several friends that live on Landham Drive. It's a pretty straightforward.
So I would need to get the details from Eric. What I believe occurred is we did get a complaint because of cars parking close to the intersection and you couldn't get around them to get over to actually take the intersection. But I can coordinate with them and maybe we can pull it up closer to the intersection and shorten that distance.
Yeah,
And
I
see
think that would be acceptable because I think it's like 15 or 18 feet to the intersection or something.
25 for the
25.
typical site triangle behind the curb.
Yeah, so maybe,
can look
maybe
at
we
it.
could do that.
Mhm.
Mr. Purple, let us look at it and then
Thank you.
maybe we can get in touch with you.
Don't
Thank
need to
you.
come back at any time.
Just watch your sign.
If your sign is moved, that's
Watch your
good.
sign.
You need your pictures back or you need those back?
You can keep.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
perhaps Mr. Signs can be in touch with you.
Hi, Debbie Alden, 9421 Leland Drive. I'm here on some good news at this point. Thank you for mowing the yard over here at the Little Debbie Park. Appreciate it. It looks so much nicer. And also for the great 4th of July that the city put on. That was wonderful. Thank you so much. With the construction fencing that went up with the park, I didn't know if there would be a construction tarp that goes over it, so we don't have, that way they don't have to mow it anymore, and we don't have to see it, because usually with construction, and they put that chain link fencing up, that's not the most attractive, and now that it's going to be up for a year and not just, a couple months, if there would be a tarp that would go over that so that we don't have to look at it, they don't have to mow it, and those kinds of things. I wondered if that was going to happen. Also, since the project has been delayed, I didn't know if on the west side of the street where the parking is, if they could put the final lift on those parking spots and stripe them so that at least on the west side of the road, when there's things going on in the commons, that they could use those parking spots. I know for the the revival that just went on this past week, they were using those spots and people must have gotten a notice or something because they were actually backing in, parking some of them. Well, at least on the west side of the road. On the east side of the road, they were still pulling in because that's the natural way that you would go. But I didn't know if, I understand, I won't even ask for them to do the final lift on the east side because there'd be tractors going over it and things like that that would damage the final blacktop. But if they could at least do the west side, you know, there's not going to be any tractors going over there. And then since they got the street lights up and everything, could those be turned on sooner than later before the completion of the project? I don't know who controls that switch to turn on the street lights on Swinyar.
I'm gonna go through all of them.
Okay.
at one time, I think will be
And then
easiest.
this is something that doesn't pertain to the park. At the last commission meeting that I was at, we were talking about something else. And I don't think it goes for the hearing because it doesn't necessarily relate to the hearing part, but it does concern what was said in that we have children crossing the railroad tracks to get to Ottawa Middle School. I'm not sure about Wolf Teever, but that's very disturbing to me. I realize, at least in the 7 years that I've been here, I have not heard of anybody getting hit by a train, but I can't believe that we don't have fencing up on either side of those tracks so that children cannot cross those tracks.
Can I address that?
You may.
That came from me. The reason being, I live there, and the
Yeah.
railroad track runs in my backyard, and my kids are the ones that cross over.
Are they the only ones?
No.
Oh, okay, well, yeah.
What it is when it was first established, that's
Debbie?
all private. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, there you go.
It is private property, and the other part belongs to the railroad, okay? So lots of times the parents somebody would stay in the backyard and let the kids cross over because when I first moved out here, the kids right behind Ottawa were zoned for Hunter. And so if you wanted your kids to go to Ottawa, which to me would make logical sense because your house is backed up to the property, we had to watch the kids go across, which was fine. No parent complained or anything like that. It was not elementary school kids. It was middle school kids.
Okay.
And so there's never been any results or any issues whatsoever with the kids doing that. Okay. So it has a lot to do with the private property owners and with the railroad company. On the other side, which there's a 25-foot yard easement, that's the railroad's business, you know. And so finally, they rezoned. And so Ottawa does pick up now on that street, and they go to Ottawa,
Okay,
as before they did not.
okay.
Kids still go down there and play. There's still forts built up in that woods that my son is 34 years old, and he built a fort up there when he was 8. And the kids, it's just passed down from generation, grandkids coming in and so forth like that. But it's kept up by the people, our parents, like myself, my husband, and so forth. And
But is it on your side of the tracks or the school side of the tracks?
it's on our side of the tracks.
Your side of the track.
Our
So they
side.
don't have to cross,
They
from the
don't have to.
houses, they don't have to cross the track. So
No, they
that
don't
doesn't,
really have to cross the tracks anymore at all.
okay,
Yeah, because it was, the way it was laid out originally
Uh-huh.
is that your kid was zoned for Hunter.
Hunter. Okay.
Okay.
So you're telling me that I can sleep easier at night because there are not children crossing the tracks?
Yeah, sure. You would never have to been a problem for you to sleep.
Well,
Because it was.
I don't know, I kind of care about the kids.
Well, I'm a school teacher.
Oh, I am
and-
too.
And I'm very, I have a lot in stock with my kids and other kids in the neighborhood. No, we took care of our own. We did, and finally the school rezoned so that it was kind of ironic because it was just that street that runs parallel with the Robertson Farms High Street. That street was the only street that was zoned for Hunter.
Oh,
Okay? So, but there was no busing because they're within 2 miles of the school.
Hmm.
So now they have busing, and they have had busing for over 10 years.
Okay.
And so it's not an issue anymore.
okay. I misunderstood you then at the last meeting because I thought they were still crossing back and forth across the railroad
No,
track
the-
to get
what
back
it
and forth to
pertained-
school.
Yeah, what it pertained to, they were talking about, it'd come up during the planning commission, that maybe they could build a bridge or something for the kids to go over, whatever, but you're talking about private property. And the railroad,
Yeah, the railroad, that's another whole issue.
that's a whole issue.
Yeah.
And so that's why I made my comment that we took care of it ourselves.
Okay.
And so now all those kids are grown. They may bring their kids out or whatever to visit, grandparents or whatever. The kids that are there currently, they have bus transportation to the schools that they need to
Okay.
go to because of the rezoning.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
let's look it up. Yes, sir.
All right, so the contractor's plan right now is to tarp as a complete specific elements, not the entire fence.
Okay,
And that is being negotiated between them and some insurance folks. So-
Okay.
But that's the current plan.
All right.
As far as the final lift and striping, the cost of mobilization to come out and do that little bit of asphalt will be prohibitive. So they will pave all of that at one time, and the city when we will coordinate with them, and that's when we'll bid out fixing the entire road as well. So they won't come out and do that final lift until then. The street lights, when they're turned over to us, they will be turned on. They may be turned on when the final termination is pulled, which could be any day, or it could be when they turn it over to us. It'll just depend on the electricians on site and EPB on that final termination.
okay. Speaking of the fencing, you know how the gate opens and closes to let their construction people in? Is there not a lock on that? Because I've gone past there at night past construction time and the gate has been opened, that anybody could walk in there?
They need to have a lock. I'll mention it to them.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Anyone else? Seeing none, we'll go on with our agenda. Our next item is unfinished business. We have a second reading and a public hearing on ordinance 1109, which I will close the city commission meeting and open up the public hearing. And if you would read the caption for 1109, please.
An ordinance to amend the official zoning map to rezone certain properties from AG Agricultural District to R1T Residential Zero Lot Line Townhouse District, more particularly described as inclusive of Hamilton County tax map parcels 141-005 and 141-005.01, said properties being located within the corporate limits of Collegedale, Tennessee.
Okay. Is anyone here that wishes to speak for or against ordinance 1109?
More good news.
Oh, I don't know about that. W. Alden, 9421 Leland Drive. In regards to this zoning, as I looked over the notes from the Planning Commission meeting, under the relationship to the Collegedale 2030 plan, number 2 was listed as the plan's desired building form is not practical for units adjacent to the Ottawa-Ringgold Road since it's classified as a minor arterial with an average annual daily traffic count over 13,000. And we know that that climbs to much higher when there's an accident on I-75 for people circumventing. To me, just for that one thing alone, the townhouses should not go on that property because of the added traffic on Ottawa-Ringgold Road. I realize that this is a new zoning ordinance that was just passed within the last year and a half because I've watched that go through the process. And I realize that people want to build those types of townhomes because it's a type of housing that's missing in Collegedale per things that I've heard. However, I'm not sure that that's the most appropriate site for it. And so because of that, I would like for you to look for it someplace else, put single-family homes in there, things like that, that would be less dense, less traffic coming out onto Ottawa-Ringgold Road in that particular area. You have the railroad track that curves, you have 2 schools with traffic at certain times, and you have the daycare with traffic at certain times. So adding those additional cars would just be more traffic in that area. Needless to say, we won't even talk about when the train is stopped in the middle of the intersection. Another one of my concerns in reading about this is that under the approved subject to conditions below, number 5, it said the number of units shall not exceed 72. However, at the last commission meeting, I don't know if it was the engineer, the builder, whoever was here, said there would be 84 for a total of 19 buildings. And this specifically says it shall not exceed 72. So I want to make sure that everybody's on the right page there with how many, if you do approve this, how many units are going to go through, because the planning commission is saying one thing and the person that's building the development is saying something else. Another one of
I
my,
think that was a correction from
That
Cindy.
was, that was a mistype.
Yeah.
the 72,
Correct. It was a mistype. It's 82, I believe. 82.
well,
It
this
was
is,
the same layout, but it was a mistype on the presentation.
And in the last meeting, we amended that, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
And it is 19 buildings is what the gentleman said.
But it was not corrected on here.
It did not go back to planning commission. The planning commission made a recommendation with that mistype, and then the commission on the first reading went subject to 82, not 72.
and they approved their minutes at the building commission, at the planning commission meeting, and there was no corrections at that meeting for their minutes.
Because the presentation stated 72.
Whatever comes out of the planning commission is a recommendation to the commission. So it's not binding on the commission. Whatever the commission decides to adopt based on the recommendation or whatever evidence they receive in the meantime is what they can go with. The planning commission is just a step.
Okay. The other thing is, when we were talking about the Little Debbie Park, the commissioners also talked about having neighborhood parks. And here we have a new neighborhood coming on, and it says that there's going to be 20% devoted for open and recreational space. But then it goes further and says it's going to be planted grass and existing natural vegetation. Nothing seems to be set aside to have a small playground area or a small park in there for the children that live there. That's a concern about another area as well. So those are my main concerns over this particular piece of land there. Is just the basic thing is amount of traffic. And we know that it's 10, 20 years out before they expand that section of Ottawa-Ringgold Road, and we continue to add more things, that puts more traffic on there. So, thank you.
Okay. Anyone else want to speak to this? While he's coming up, I have a question.
Okay.
Since this that we have tonight still says 72, how do we go? Do we need to make that amendment when we
Yes.
vote on it
Yes.
later?
If you vote
Okay,
for it.
if we
would be
vote it,
Amended or held the same.
okay.
My name is Steve Drummer. I'm a civil engineer on the project for Mr. McCoy. As we discussed, I guess almost a month ago, that was just a typo on the overall presentation. There was actually 82 individual lots shown in the site plan itself. The question is to the single family on that site. It's Mr. McCoy can speak even more than I can to the cost of infrastructure and developing just the raw price of the land itself would not, you could not do that in single family. It's just, single family in that area is just too costly for the price of the property and the amount of infrastructure that you have to go in to make it feasible. The lot prices would just, nobody could afford it. And what we're trying to do here is a more affordable type of housing. The lots are 2,400 square feet minimum. Most of them are larger than that. There's just a few that are at that minimum size. And there is, I can't give you the exact acreage of the open space, but as you know, we've got power lines there that run right through the, so I guess more towards the northern end of the property. And of course, we can't do anything there as far as any kind of development. And then there's other areas just due to the kind of strange shape of that land where we end up with a lot of green space that's suitable for kids to play and just have outdoor activities. What was the other question or the other issue?
Traffic counts.
Oh,
It was regarding
traffic.
traffic, correct?
Yeah. We understand there's a lot of traffic on Ooltewah Ringo Road. We've spoken to your engineers, and that being state route there, it's, we'll have to go before Tennessee DOT with the plan and meet whatever requirements they require for getting access off of Ooltewah Ringo Road. 82 units does put a little bit more traffic on there, but, it's, I think somebody made the statement early on in the last meeting that, really that was looked at several times as a distribution warehouse, and they would much prefer to have, residential use of that property rather than have a lot of trucks in and out and that type of business. So that's, I guess, any questions, be glad to answer.
I've got a question for our city manager. With the description that was read to us about this issue, it seemed to me like it was just about zoning, not about design. Is it about both? Or is it just about zoning?
So the question in front of you is about zoning,
Right.
but it was recommended to put a condition on the zoning that capped the number of units.
Okay, so we are voting on more than just a,
If you choose to include that condition, you could just vote to change the zoning, and then it would be capped at the zoning cap rather than the 82 units.
Is the 82
units
below the zoning?
Yes.
Okay. But
The-
conditions are often written into an ordinance like this in order to ameliorate some of the problems that just a straight out rezoning would occur. And obviously the planning commission saw fit to add the conditions, which appear to be pretty reasonable.
So what we vote on tonight is zoning change with a cap.
If you
of
choose
82,
to include
if we
the
choose
condition.
to. And then it will be going to planning commission for design for the layout of the townhomes and TDOT to make sure that there's a traffic study, to make sure that the units don't exceed what they feel is best. So we're only doing zoning right now
Correct,
and putting a limitation on what they can do, not leaving it open-ended.
correct.
So we are being pretty conservative by putting a limitation on there. Okay.
and
But
that
it-
does include single units only? I think it does. I mean, single,
No, we're
I know
going,
there's multiple
we're
in a
going to
row,
R1T.
but
which means
it's not
townhouses, not
rental
big.
property is what I'm trying to get at.
No, it'd be,
It's not
They're all for sale.
no, everything will be for sale.
Okay.
Each lot would be fee simple. They are connected townhomes on fee simple lots, not R3 apartments.
So it's not rental. I mean.
Most of them
that
are
was my point.
four units per building.
Right.
I think we
That's
may
very
have.
common.
But there's more in the process to come through planning, through TDOT,
Right.
through engineering. This is just the first step to get the ball rolling.
Correct.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Okay.
I will say, and I will confess that I was one of the people that said I would prefer to have housing than a warehouse when I sit on my deck. I'd rather see children and people and being able to keep the bird sanctuary and so forth that my husband had put all the effort into years ago. And I think it would just be conclusive with what's on the other side of the track, which is our neighborhood. And most of the neighborhood at Robertson Farm, the people that I've talked with, they have no issue with this type of a project going in. And that's not the whole neighborhood I've talked to, just those that live on the track.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing none, I'm going to close the public hearing and open up the commission meeting again. Any comments, questions you have about this particular ordinance before we have a Motion and a vote.
Just to clarify once again, it is TDOT who will approve the entry to Ottawa Ringgold Road and all traffic related.
Correct. The city will request to have a left and right turn lane leaving, but TDOT will have to approve it.
Okay.
That was the same thing that occurred on Barnsley, as an example.
I move to approve the zoning with the cap on the number of units to 82.
Just to make sure that we got it right, Commissioner, if you don't mind, you're moving to approve the ordinance as written with the exception that you're changing paragraph 5 of section 2
Okay, because it's 72 on there.
from 72 to
From
80
72 to 82.
84.
82.
82.
Oh, to 82, I'm sorry.
Okay, that's correct.
I almost gave you 2 more. That's your motion.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second with that amendment from 82 to, it's not an amendment, but a change from 72 to 82. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Baker,
Yay.
Commissioner Garver,
Yes.
Commissioner White,
Yay.
Vice Mayor Johnson,
Yay.
Mayor Lamb.
Yay. Now we move on to our new business. The first one is a request for an amendment to the airport easement acquisition grant.
So this is the 95-5 grant that pays for the obstruction removal trees at the airport because it's run a little long. It's a total change of $93,300, of which we would be responsible for $4,665.
I'll move to approve.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Baker,
Yes.
Commissioner Garver,
Yes.
Commissioner White,
Yay.
Vice Mayor Johnson,
Yay.
Mayor Lamb.
Yay. Our next item is a request for the Little Debbie Parkway and Veterans Memorial Park Greenway expansion bid.
Yes, this is a request to approve $384,750 for Wilson Construction Group to install the Greenway extension tying into scooters and to run the sidewalks from Appison Pike up to the second apartment complex entrance on the west side of the road.
Integra.
Correct.
Okay. Any comments or questions, please?
Yes, it's nice to have some parking really close to this sidewalk that you're proposing here. Close for a lot of people. Have not been able to attend that over the years because of the proximity of parking. It's wonderful. Thank you.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Baker,
Yes.
Commissioner Garver,
Yes.
Commissioner White,
Yay.
Vice Mayor Johnson,
Yay.
Mayor Lamb.
Yay. Our next item is reports from our city administration.
Nothing to add tonight.
Commissioner White?
Yes, Ms. Alden brought up a good point about other city parks that we had looked into, and I know that what we own is limited to be able to put parks on, but can we talk at some point about the land that we have that the city owns, possibly looking into what it would take to get that into a park, a small park, or if there's any land available for purchase that we could buy to put some park, like a park or something on there, or work with the Tomorrow Foundation to do that.
Okay.
If we could start moving in that direction. I know that we talk about parks, but we also have to have land to do that.
Mhm.
And we can't just force people to put a park in for us. So if we can have that conversation, I'd appreciate that.
Okay.
Thank you. That's all I have, except happy to see Scooters open. They had their grand opening yesterday. There was a lot of people there. It's pretty busy. To me, it's almost busier than whenever I had to go to Hamilton Place to get mine. So it's nice to have a drive-through coffee here. And I'm glad to have them part of our community. And thank you to planning and staff for working with them through the opening process. And hopefully we're good neighbors to them like they are being to us, and excited for some other things that are in the pipeline.
Okay. Commissioner Garver?
Nothing tonight.
Commissioner Baker?
Yes, what is the feedback on the Jack's restaurant? Is it still progressing along, or or have they got a date
It's
yet?
still moving. They ran into some really, really poor soils, which slowed them down through the winter. And they're still working to be open in the coming months.
Thank you. And I do want to say thank you for our police officers and for the outstanding job they did. And also, Eric Sines is not here tonight, but they did a great job in my neighborhood paving. I would like to see if TDOT would pave the rest of it, come on out to Udawaringo Road, because it really does need that strip. That strip of road has a lot of wear and tear from it. But overall, I'm very pleased, and so are the neighbors. That's it.
Vice Mayor?
I second the scooters. I stopped and got a cup of coffee the other day, and it was pretty good, so glad to see it open.
Several individuals spoke to me this weekend thanking us for the pavement that you've been doing. Public Work has been doing in town. They really did appreciate it, and they were talking about the thickness that was being put down, so they knew that it would last for a while. And for Chief Sapp, your officers being at our church facility on the weekends has been very nice. And this month I've been in the lobby a lot to welcome people, and a number of the members have shared their appreciation for them being there. And so I would like for you to pass that on to your policemen.
I have one more thing. While we're still in the month of July and so close to the 4th of July celebration, Freedom Festival, can we have a debrief on workshop to kind of go over what worked, what didn't work, what ideas we have? I thought it was a very well done program. As I was walking around, having some music or something in the field with the Veterans Park, I think would have helped and added to people's experience over there. And I don't know if that's feeding music from the commons over there or what we need to do, but just while it's fresh on our minds, if we can kind of strategize for next year and.
Okay. It would probably be best to do it next month at
That's fine.
workshop. That way, gives staff a little more time to put together some write-ups.
That's perfectly fine. I just don't want us to get into next year and we're starting to plan and then we've all forgotten, because now that I think about it, that was something that we talked about in years past and didn't do it this year. So I just want to make sure we get it on the paper. But the food, the vendors, the music, the production was very well done. I think people were very pleased with it.
It was. We usually do it internally, not at workshop, but through the departments, but we can do it at a workshop, no problem.
Okay, awesome.
May I interject something too? I believe, is it this weekend that I call it a powwow?
Yeah, I was going to mention that. It starts at 10.
Go ahead.
It starts at 10 o'clock Saturday morning and Sunday morning. There is a Cherokee. I don't know that they're Cherokees. I forgot which group it is. But anyway, there's Indian activity, Native Indian activity going to be at the Commons, both Saturday and Sunday. So I hope that they have a good showing, and I think we'll all enjoy it. We like to have different cultures there to help our citizens learn about each other and what's going on in our area. So you can remember that for Saturday and Sunday this coming weekend. Anything else?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
We're adjourned.
Wayne, are we good, buddy?